Hey everyone, Johnny Boy here, and welcome to Subnautica, a very cool underwater exploration and crafting game in which you have to survive on a desolate ocean planet after something mysterious happens to the ship you were aboard on. If you don't know who I am, I'm John, and I have another channel, which is obviously Johnny Boy, which I do comedy sketches and reviews on video games. This game has very quickly been consuming a lot of my free time recently, and one thing that I noticed from the get-go is that it doesn't do a very good job of explaining what you need to do. Now, half the fun of these games is figuring out what you're supposed to do, but if you don't know what you're supposed to do from the get-go, then things kind of get annoying and you could easily get turned off from the game. And one thing about me is that if a video game is complicated and doesn't explain very well how to start things off, then I tend to get annoyed with it and try to find an easier way to explain it to other people that may have questions about it. Hence why I'm going to do a beginner's tutorial series on this game. In this series, I'm going to teach you guys how to do some of the basic stuff from this game, from creating tools to creating sea vehicles. After that, I may stop the series after I believe I've covered the basics, or I may continue it based on the feedback that I get. A part of me wants to continue the series indefinitely because I find the game very fascinating, but another part of me wants to let people discover the game on their own. But until the time comes, I'll leave it up to you guys. On another note, whenever an important scene is playing or voice dialogue is going on, I'm going to quiet down unless I have some important information that goes along with it. And with all that out of the way, let's dive right into Subnautica. Oh god, I made a dive pun.
Attention. Hull failure imminent. All personnel abandon ship. Launch in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so right away we can see that fire is a thing in this game even though it's mostly underwater. So keep that in mind for something later in the series. Okay, so right away we can notice that the life pod we are in is malfunctioning. Probably had something to do with that huge fire we just put out. Anyway, if you notice there is a storage container right in the middle of the ship. It has 2 chunks of food and 2 chunks of water. I would highly recommend not using them at all. Just wait until a little bit later when it becomes more important. So what we're going to be doing right now is, why'd I get out of ship? What we're going to be doing right now is we're going to be trying to make our basic survival tools. So let me just get to it right here. Oh, we don't even have it. Oh, I'm stupid. Okay. So the scanner is one of the most important things you can make. We're going to be trying to make that first. So we need battery and titanium. And how to make battery and titanium is, well, titanium's just a basic ingredient, or we can get it from metal salvage. I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. But a battery, on the other hand, requires acid mushroom and copper ore. I will show you how to get both right now. So acid mushroom is basic enough and not very hard to see. Just these mushroom things. So we're going to pick up, let's pick up 4. I picked up 5. I'm bad at counting, apparently. This big chunk right here is metal salvage. It takes up a lot of space, so unless you're wanting 4 titanium, I would recommend not picking them up just yet. These stones that are bulging out of the cliff are limestones. They are what you need to break in order to get basic materials like copper or titanium or lead. Right here is the quartz. This is useful for making glass, which is important a little bit later. Okay, now that we got some copper, titanium, and acid mud. Let me just go back down there and pretend I didn't say that. Okay, now that we got some copper and some acid mushrooms, we can make a battery. So we're going to go ahead and go to resources, electronics, and then hit on battery. There we go. Now, I also collected some metal salvage, which is good for making 4 titanium. I collected a few of them, so I have around 8 pieces. That should be enough to get me most of the basic tools that I need. So now we got everything, we should be able to make the scanner. The scanner is probably one of the most important tools that you can use in this game. I've probably already said that before, but let's see if we can make some use of it right now. So you can use your scanner to scan local wildlife like this guy right here. He's probably too fast for me to scan right now, but let's see if I can do it. Nah, I'll just leave him alone. You could also use it to scan resources like the acid mushroom. After you've done that, the encyclopedia will open up and it'll give you some important uses for whatever you just scanned. Like this. It's inedible, but its applications can be used for battery fabrication. However, if you see something like a cargo box here with something inside of it, you can scan it. And now I have half of a blueprint for something. Oh. Yeah, if you're playing in survival mode, you'll need to eat things. And I know I told you not to eat this, but just for the sake of speeding this along, I'm going to do this right now. Okay. So as I was saying, I have half the blueprint for something called the Sea Glider, which is a very important tool which will help us a lot in this game. So I'm going to quickly scan around the area and see if I can find one more cargo box that has the other half. Okay, so it got pretty dark while I was looking around for the Sea Glider, and unfortunately I wasn't able to move around fast enough. That can be remedied. We need to go to Tools, Equipment, and make these, the fins. They are very useful for the beginning of the game. Also, the O2 tank is pretty nice. I might just be able to make that right now, actually. Yes, I can.
Calculating risk assessment. Death by malnourishment, 7%. By physical injury, 11%. By exposure to radioactive crash site materials, 19%. If the drive core is breached, probability of death increases to 65%.
Okay, so like she is saying, the Aurora is radioactive right now. So if we swim anywhere near it, we're going to take a ton of damage until we make, I think I have the blueprint for it, a radiation suit. We need fiber mesh and lead. I found lead in one of the lime rocks I plucked up earlier, but fiber mesh is something new. We're going to need a survival knife to make that, which needs silicone rubber, which is something we also need for the fins. So I'll be showing you guys how to get that in just a moment. Now, as I was about to leave, I forgot I wanted to show you guys something. The first O2 tank that you make goes right here in your general equipment area, and it just goes into this little slot right here. This gives you about, I think, 25 more air, 30, something like that. But when you make a second one, and put it in your inventory, okay, it was 30. Instead of going into one of these equipment spots, it just goes right here in your inventory. It does take up space, however, it does count as equipped, so you get more air. Later on, this may not be so useful because it'll just take up inventory space, which you could use to carry things, but for now, it's very useful because I don't have a way of getting around too fast, and staying underwater is good for our survival. Now, these glowing things right here are called the... Oh. Are you okay there, buddy? Hello? I'm just gonna take this stuff. I'll explain it a little later, if you don't eat me. Oh! Oh my god! No, take the stuff! Take the stuff and leave! Now, the stuff I almost died getting was the creepvine seed cluster, which is what you need to make silicone rubber. If I could actually get to it. It can also be used to make lubricant. This is a little bit useful later.
Warning, local radiation readings exhibit characteristics consistent with total degradation of the Aurora's dark matter drive core. A quantum detonation will occur with a probability of 85.5%. Advise observing a 1 kilometer safety range.
Sorry about that, I thought an event was going to happen right now. But anyway, now that we have the silicone rubber, we could either make the survival knife or the fins. But I only grabbed enough because I was freaking out to make one or the other. So let's make the fins for now so it'll help me move around faster. Then we got our fins. I don't know how fast I'm actually... God, I hate those things. By the way, I forgot to explain what this guy does because I was freaking out. This is a stalker fish. This is the dangerous enemy that is around the area you spawn. It only really bothers you if you try to get next to it or the seed clusters, which is why it's not attacking me right now. But I think go away. I want your stuff. Maybe I could just... Okay, well, now that he's not got me off guard, I'm going to show you something. He charges right at you, but he has a hard time turning, which makes it easy to just dance around him. Now, I kind of peed him off, so he may follow me. That might have been a mistake. I don't know. But I'm just going to roll with it. So all we need is one more creep cluster vine to make a survival knife. So let's just go ahead and take care of that right now. While I was thinking about it, I wanted to show you guys something.
Oxygen.
When you're about to run out of oxygen... Oh! Stop it! When you're about to run out of oxygen, you'll see the screen getting dark. There is no health degradation to this. You will die as soon as the screen completely fades out. But as long as there's still a little bit of light and you haven't heard the game over music, you're fine. You have a couple more seconds to get to the surface. Okay, I just grabbed the other seed out of the chest, so let's go ahead and make the rubber. And now we can make the survival knife.
Seismic readings suggest a quantum detonation has occurred in the Aurora's drive core. The central dark matter reactor will reach a supercritical state in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
I'm sure they're okay. Okay, if you notice at the bottom left of my screen, I'm getting a little bit hungry and pretty thirsty. So let's go ahead, and now that I have the flippers, show you what you do for food and water. This fish right here is called the boomerang fish. He's not that fast, so let's try and catch him real quick. There we go. The boomerang fish is what you're primarily going to be using for food. Let me just... Where the heck is my pod? Right there. I'm stupid. Once you get on your pod, you can also use the fabricator to cook your food. I already caught something called a peeper. I'll show you what that is a little bit later. But the boomerang, once you cook it, will restore 21 food and give you a little more H2O. But that's not enough H2O to keep you, well, sustained for a while. So I'll show you what you need to catch for that. Ooh. Okay, here's the other half of the Sea Glide fragment, which gives me the full blueprint, and now all I have to do is go back to my life pod, and I can attempt to make it. I don't know if I have all the parts necessary yet, but if I can, I'll be moving around much, much faster than I used to. Remember how I said the lubricant was going to come in handy later? The Sea Glide actually requires lubricant. So I need to run down here to the seas again without getting bitten alive by the stalker fish and grab 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And now that I'm here, I can show you something else. The creeper vine is not just fish. The creep vine is not just useful for the sea clusters. If I cut it up, I also get creep vine samples. Am I full? No, I can grab 1 more. Grabbing 2 should allow me to craft something called the fiber mesh, which is useful for diving suits and a bunch of other stuff. This right here is called the bladderfish and is our primary source of water, and considering it's a bladder, I don't think I'm going to like the water too much. Now that we're back inside the live pod, I'll show you how to make the water. Now, you don't want to cook the bladderfish, you want to go up here to water and click filtered water. This, while not the best way to satisfy your thirst, is a good way to do it. Now that we have 3 creep vine cluster seeds, we can make the lubricant, which is one of the key ingredients to the Sea Glide. All I need to do now is make some copper wire, which it can be easily done if you have 2 copper ore. And now, one of the most useful things early game, the Sea Glide. This bad boy is huge, but it is very useful, so I do recommend carrying around it with you until you get a vehicle, which isn't going to be anytime soon. And now that my guy has stopped looking at the frickin' thing, it has a flashlight built into it, which is useful for underwater exploration during the night. Now with the 2 creepvine samples I chopped up earlier, I could make fiber mesh, which is used for making the lead dive suit, which I need 1 more fiber mesh and 1 more lead to do it. And I think I've already mentioned this earlier, but lead can be found in limestone. Did I turn the flashlight off? Yes, I did. If you right click, you turn your flashlight on and off. Lead can be found in these limestone little boulders. So let's see if I get lucky and find one. Chop, chop, chop. Nope. Come on, lead. There we go. BRB. Now that we have the last 2 vines, and we picked up 1 piece of lead on the way back, we can make the radiation suit, which means we can swim close to the Aurora. Now the last thing I want to do before I end this off is you can see that the ship is pretty beat up and run down, and in order to fix it up, we need to use the repair tool. It needs magnesium and crash fish powder. And in order to get those 2, you need 3 salt. And to get these annoying fish to leave you alone in time to collect the powders. I'll show you what I mean. In this cave right here, if you look closely, you can see that an appropriately shaped black thing sticking out of that rock. If you get close to it, a screaming red fish will come out and try to suicide bomb on you, so you gotta get away real quick. If that thing explodes on you, you're pretty much almost dead. Now let's see if I was lucky. Yes, I was. This black stuff in here is crash fish powder. And now that we got the crash fish powder, let's go get some salt. Salt's pretty usually easy to find. You just need to look along the surface of the calm area that you start in. Why can't I find any salt? Here we go. Here's 1. Here's 2. Here is the 3rd and final one. Let's go back to the base and make the magnesium. Okay, now that we got everything we need, 3 salt and crash fish powder, let's go ahead and make what we need. I forgot what we needed. Ah, yes, the repair tool. Now that we got our handy dandy repair tool, just quickly right click after I'm done looking at this like an idiot on what you need to fix. And the lights are back on. Fantastic. We can also repair this communication box. And if after it's repaired,
A new message has arrived.
we have a message. Let's see what it says.
Playing message.
This is an automated bounce back from the Aurora mining vessel. Your distress signal has been received. An emergency relief team will be dispatched to your location. Estimated arrival time, 9 hours.
Well, that seems like a pretty long time to wait for rescue, so we should probably take care of that ourselves. Before I leave, this is a med kit fabricator. If you ever get hurt, this thing will always respawn health kits every 30 minutes in-game time. Oh, we got another message. Let's see what that says.
Playing message.
This is another feature of the game. You see this little signal right here? You can have another signal going on, and it pings you to a location of something important. In this case, it was Life Pod 6, which I believe is right next to... not the Aurora. I was way off. However, that direction is in the direction of something very interesting. Alright, so we've almost died. I've shown you how to get basic ingredients, make tools, and survive on your own. Next time, I'll show you the ins and outs of making a base, along with learning how to make your own replenishable food source. So, as always, until next time, see you later.